They laughed at her before she ever touched the microphone. Not loudly, not cruelly. Just enough for her to hear. And sometimes, that's worse. What no one in that theatre knew that night was that this wasn't just another performance. It was her last attempt before giving up on her dream forever. Her name was Valeria Reyes, 23 years old, not famous, not connected, not what the industry called ready. She grew up in a small apartment above a laundromat, where the walls were thin and the neighbors argued often. Money was always tight. Her mother, Teresa, cleaned houses in wealthy neighborhoods. She would come home smelling like bleach and expensive perfume that wasn't hers. But every single night, no matter how tired she would sit at the kitchen table and listen to her daughter sing. And she would always say, "Your voice will take you places my hands never could." Valeria believed her. Until the world started answering back. Audition after audition, it was always the same. "We're looking for something different. You don't have the right look. You're talented, but not marketable." She learned to smile while her heart cracked. She felt the weight of every rejection, a constant reminder that maybe her mother's belief wasn't enough. At 19, she almost quit. She sold her guitar to help pay the rent, a piece of her soul traded for survival. At 21, she was working double shifts at a cafe, singing quietly while cleaning tables after closing. Customers would sometimes clap, but clapping isn't a contract. The applause was nice, but it didn't pay the bills or silence the growing doubt in her mind. By 23, she told herself, one last try. If this showcase didn't work, she would let the dream die. She would pack it away like an old photograph and move on. Enter Eduardo Salazar, a respected producer. Sharp suits, perfect hair, a voice that dripped with confidence. He didn't believe in emotional stories. He believed in numbers, in market trends, in what was predictable. He watched Valeria rehearse once, his face completely expressionless. When she finished, he said, "You're not bad." He paused, letting the words hang in the air. "But you don't move people." Those words haunted her. You don't move people. It was the one thing she had always tried to do. The night of the event, the theatre was full. Press, investors, talent scouts, everyone who could make or break a career was there. Valeria stood backstage, her hands shaking, her stomach in knots. Eduardo approached her, flanked by 2 sound technicians. "You'll go on 3rd, he said, his voice clipped and professional. Then, lowering his voice just enough for her and the technicians to hear, he added, "Don't disappoint us." One of the technicians smirked. She heard a whisper float through the air. "She's not ready for this level." Her chest tightened. For a brief, dizzying moment, she considered walking away. No drama, no scene. Just disappearing quietly into the night. Would anyone even notice she was gone? Would it even matter? Instead, she walked into the dressing room and locked the door. She looked at herself in the mirror. She didn't see a star. Not glamorous, not extraordinary. Just a girl who stubbornly refused to stop loving music. Her voice trembled as she whispered a prayer into the silence of the room. "God, if this dream came from you, please hold me steady. If not, just give me the peace to let it go." There was no thunder, no lightning, no miraculous sign, just a profound stillness. And in that stillness, she found a sliver of courage. Her name was announced. The stage lights felt blinding, hot and accusatory. She walked to the microphone, her heart pounding against her ribs. The first note almost broke. Almost. But then she thought of her mother's hands, cracked from cleaning chemicals, but always so soft when they held her face. The second verse was stronger. By the chorus, something shifted inside her. She stopped trying to impress them. She stopped trying to be what she thought they wanted. She just started telling her truth. A song about exhaustion. A song about hope. A song about refusing to disappear. The audience, which had been restless and chatting, leaned forward. There were no flashy vocal tricks, no high notes designed for applause. There was just raw, unfiltered honesty. When she finished, there were 2 seconds of deafening silence. And then the entire theatre rose to its feet. The applause was a wave, a roar. This wasn't polite clapping. This was a connection. This was what it felt like to move people. Eduardo felt it. He walked onto the stage afterward to give his scheduled speech, but something was wrong. His words, usually so powerful, felt hollow and empty. He tried to regain his authority, but the audience wasn't watching him anymore. They were all watching her. Not because she was suddenly famous, but because she was real. After the show, the backstage area was chaotic. People rushed to Valeria, pressing business cards into her hand, showering her with compliments and invitations. Eduardo stood at a distance, watching. For the first time in years, he felt small. He approached her slowly, navigating through the crowd. "I was wrong," he said quietly, his voice barely audible over the noise. She looked at him. Not with arrogance, not with a thirst for revenge, just a calm, steady gaze. "Thank you for the stage," she replied simply. And that simple, graceful response broke him more than any angry words ever could have. Behind the curtains, Teresa was crying. Not loud, just silent. Grateful tears streaming down her face. She held her daughter's face in her hands, the same way she had when Valeria was just 5 years old. "I told you," she whispered, her voice thick with emotion. Valeria smiled through her own tears. "For the first time," she said, "I believed you. Sometimes heaven doesn't silence your critics. It strengthens your voice. Sometimes justice isn't seeing them humiliated in return. It's your own elevation." That night, Valeria didn't become a star. She became unshakable. And when a person becomes unshakable, no humiliation, no criticism, no doubt can ever truly reach them again. If someone has ever told you that you weren't enough, that you didn't have what it takes, I want you to do something. Go down to the comments right now and write, "I will not quit." Because the dream that was placed in your heart was never an accident. It's your purpose, waiting for you to become unshakable. Thanks for watching.